we end our first match. Spartans take the lead 1-9 at 25-15. Coming to join us now is the principal, Dr. Michael Harvey. We'll get him on headset here in just a second. You there, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good. How are you doing tonight?
Great, sir. Thank you.
One of the things we noticed here when we came in is all the changes that have happened at Sun Valley. For people that haven't been here in a while, the football field is finished.
Yes,
tracks
sir.
finished. One of the best looking tracks probably in the whole state, if not even the nation. And a lot of other improvements. Why don't you catch us up a little bit on what's happened here at the Valley?
So over the last year and a half, we've made upgrades to our athletic facilities. We've had, like you said, a new football field, stadium installed, new track installed. We have a new weight room going in. We've made renovations to 6 new tennis courts, countless. It's a $36 million bond that was approved in Union County Public Schools and gone to expansion and renovation. This area is growing tremendously fast, and we're really proud. Sun Valley was originally built in 1960, so it was long overdue for some upgrades. And happy to say we got a new field house out of it as well, which will be great for our visitors and our own athletes as well.
What are some of the improvements that we've seen inside, that you guys have seen inside the school? I know you got one of the great culinary arts program here. And for those that maybe are more familiar with what happens over at CMS and not necessarily familiar with what goes on here in Union County, what are some of the options that you guys present students that are unique to Sun Valley?
So we have, like you said, a great culinary arts program. We have an industrial kitchen. Our students are cooking, preparing meals, being prepared to enter the workforce, or maybe even considering working while they're still in high school in that workforce. We have a great teacher in Melissa Washington that does a great job preparing our students. But one of the most exciting things I think Sun Valley has to offer is our aerospace and avionics program. We have students here that leave us and are ready to participate in the flight pilot licensure program. We have a drone program where students can actually get certified to fly drones. Just today out on our football field, we had our aerospace class flying their model planes that they built themselves. And then we teach them everything from the wiring and circuiting in airplanes and other aircraft, and all the way up into what is the space, or what is the science, what is the science behind keeping something in the air for a long period of time. So those are a lot of the exciting things. We also have a fire academy where a lot of our students come out of here ready to join the local fire department, or maybe going a little step further to the local South Piedmont Community College to pursue a degree in fire safety.
And we'll be remiss if we don't mention that you were named Principal of the Year this past year. And what does that do for the school and for the morale of the students and faculty and staff here?
Well, I hope that I've done a good job representing that it's not just me being named the Principal of the Year, because, we're only as smart as who we surround ourselves with, and we're only as good as who we surround ourselves with. The teachers, the students, the parents, the community. We've really rallied around this last 2.5 years at Sun Valley to make some improvements. Our motto is don't be good, be great. We don't want to settle on just being a good school. We want to be a great school that our community is proud of, and that, our younger elementary school, middle school students look forward to attending.
And that's one of the unique things that's kind of here. It's similar to where I grew up going to school at in Bowling Springs. Is the middle school is closely connected to the high school, and so you get that interaction a lot with some of your students. And your student council is really active here in mentorships. You want to take a second to talk a little bit about some of those endeavors?
Yeah, a great example of that is what we're watching tonight. This volleyball program, this partnership between the middle school and the high school with athletics is a great example. These young ladies were very successful all throughout middle school, partnering with them to develop our student athletes here. There's a lot of room to grow in that area and a lot of work to still be done, but the collaboration is certainly there. Our student council is something certainly to be proud of. Our Beta Club is nationally recognized as a Beta Club in their service hours that they complete. One of our core values here at Sun Valley is service to others. So, we require all of our athletic teams, we require all of our clubs, of course, to have a service component and to serve others in our community, not just be served, but serve others.
And talk a little bit about athletes. We've had a chance to do a couple of showcase baseball games. Mason Tinsley, young man, last name Ballantyne, I believe, was in one of our showcases. So we know a little bit about Sun Valley baseball. new coaching change on the football staff, bright future ahead there. And then volleyball seems to be doing pretty well at also. Anything else you want to add about where athletics seems to be headed?
I couldn't be more excited about where we're currently at. We've got some great coaches on staff. We've made some changes, and we've, added some quality in all areas. We've one of the most exciting coaching hires that we made is Coach Knight in our soccer program. He was a very successful coach at Piedmont High School, Cash Knight, and he just brings a tremendous wealth of knowledge about the soccer game and how it's played and motivating students. I think we're going to have the highest numbers to participate in soccer here in a long time. I'm very excited about that. And, of course, you mentioned our volleyball team. I couldn't be more proud of, athletes like Taylor Parker and Haley Pierce and Maya Hall, Jordan Ryder, Callie Donnelly. These girls work tremendously hard year-round, and I'm glad, volleyball is kind of getting put in the spotlight this fall because besides that and cross-country, they're the only sports that are playing right now. And so our volleyball team's been off to a great start, 7-0. I don't know if you've mentioned this on your broadcast or not, but they've only lost one set altogether. They are 7-0, so that would be 20. They're 22-1 in their sets. So They've only lost one set, and that was to Marvin, and that was a very competitive matchup that Marvin Ridge brought to the table, and we're looking forward to playing them again. Weddington's got a great program. I think we play in probably the toughest conference in the state of North Carolina in all sports. You mentioned baseball before. When you look at powerhouses like Marvin Ridge and Piedmont and Cuthbertson and Weddington and baseball, I'm super excited about what we bring to the field in baseball this year. We had 5 athletes sign letters of intent to play, and we're still waiting on one to make his final commitment. Probably one of the conference players of the year last year in our conference, Jacob Bowman. Still waiting to hear where he's going to sign and where he's going to decide to play. So we're, conference players of the year last year in our conference, Jacob Bowman. Still waiting to hear where he's going to sign and where he's a letdown in between games, and you're used to playing 3 times a week and on Saturdays too sometimes. So, we're just really excited about getting back on the court basketball-wise. Ladies and men's basketball is cranking up. Just finished our tryouts there. Coach Mason's got a really young team this year. He graduated 11 seniors, I believe. One of the only players coming back that had significant playing time last year is Nick Harvey, who I'm super proud of. He happens to be my son as well. Looking for a big season out of him, and hopefully he'll be able to lead these youngsters. I think we'll start a couple freshmen on varsity and play several sophomores as well. But Coach Mason does a tremendous job of not only developing players but developing, good men of character as well. So we're excited about what our basketball season holds for us.
One of the things that we know, you can't come to North Carolina without recognizing the growth throughout the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, Cabarrus County, Union County, of course, Charlotte-Mecklenburg County, but recognizing the new realignment that we're seeing. Talk a little bit about what that means to Sun Valley. I believe you guys are moving from 3A up to 4A. Are you going to be able to hold on some of those traditional rivalries here in county, and what do you see in the future?
Well, I know you know, Jay, that the state put out their first draft of conferences today. We were happy to see that they kept it a Union County conference. We'll be able to maintain our rivalry with Porter Ridge. Now they'll be in our conference as well as Marvin Ridge and Weddington. I think it's good for kids to play against their local high schools and not have to travel as much, and it promotes healthy relationships among our community members, and it really makes Friday night special around here. So excited about the conference. The challenge is going to be that it's a 6-team conference. The state did a lot of 6-team conferences, so finding games later in the season might not be as difficult as we anticipated. I'm glad we went with a 6-team conference instead of a 7-team conference. Part of me is sad to lose a school like Charlotte Catholic out of our conference, but part of me is also very glad knowing the athletic programs they have over there and the good job that Kevin Christmas does at Charlotte Catholic with his athletic teams.
Is there anything else you want to add about, obviously we're seeing something a little unusual tonight with athletes having to participate in masks, school being kind of the offset that it's been. Is there anything, how well have you guys adapted to that? And other than the restrictions on the number of times you can play each week, is there anything that you're seeing that maybe you're noticing that we might not notice from a broadcaster standpoint?
Yeah, I think we have to be very have a heightened awareness about the social and emotional well-being of our students. The not being in school has impacted a tremendous number of students, and students are really programmed for structure and routine. Athletes are programmed for structure and routine. And when they're not coming to school 4 or 5 days a week like there should be, then, they get out of their routine and they fall into bad habits, not necessarily using harmful things or doing harmful things, but just bad habits of sleeping too much or eating improperly and just not taking care of their physical health, which leads to the downplay in their emotional health. And we need kids back in school. This is a scary time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should bring kids back when it's not healthy to do that. But I hope that we move forward. The state of North Carolina sounds very promising about moving forward with this vaccine, but we've got to get kids back in school for our own community's well-being and to grow them academically, to help them socially and emotionally, to prepare them for whatever's next, whether it be college or the workforce or the military. Kids need to be in school. I think we've all learned a valuable lesson over the last 8 months that without school, kids don't do as well, and when kids aren't doing well, they can't do well.
That's one thing that we've certainly heard as we've traveled throughout both the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Metroplex as well as Cabarrus County, and even with the private schools that are out there, kids need to be back in school. And, a lot of people were saying, well, the mask mandate during athletics, but it seems to be pretty resounding throughout all the ADs and coaches that we've talked to is if it allows us to play, we'll adopt and we'll adjust. And
well, we're resilient. Athletes and coaches are resilient. They just want to play, right? So
right.
You didn't put a mask on them and get them to play. I am a little concerned about the safety over long periods of time with cardiovascular and what the mask impact will have. I think only time will tell when it comes to basketball if kids are actually periods of time with cardiovascular and what the mask impact will have. I think only time will tell. This year are going to come into play for basketball more than they ever have. You're going to have a deep team to be successful and make it through the playoffs with the fact that kids are wearing masks. I'm also worried about the physical contact with masks and what that might lead to, and we'll see. Hopefully nobody will get hurt, and hopefully there'll be no long-term damage on anybody that's wearing a mask. But you're right. Being the parent of an athlete, being the parent of a young man who plays basketball, he's wearing a mask. But you're right. Being the parent of an athlete, being the parent of a year, so he's going to do whatever the state dictates that he has to do. And the truth, I won't say the truth in the matter is, but I've yet to see the research where there's been COVID transmitted between two players participating in a physical activity. Where we find the kids that are participating in outside school sports are getting it is from coaches and athletes and facilities not following the social distancing guidelines. You can see out here today, our coaches, our athletes, our trainers, our spectators are all 6 feet apart. They're all required to wear their masks, and that's where I think the transmission's coming from. So I'm hopeful to learn more about it. We're going to do everything we can to keep people safe at all times, and we're going to follow the rules. We just want to know more. What's the long-term impact on this?
Sure. And, this is an Under Armour county, correct?
Correct.
And I've noticed a lot of the girls have the Under Armour masks that were basically they say they're designed for athletes or designed for exercise. Is that something the county has provided, or is that something they've gone out and provided on their own? Or
masks are tricky, right? So, you may like a certain style of mask and I may like a different style. So we've left it up to the athletes. We didn't do anything for volleyball. Their coaches got together and decided what did we want to wear so we could look like a uniform team. But you can look at Cuthbertson and see their mask is totally different. They're wearing more of the paper cloth mask, and they must prefer that over what we're wearing. And our basketball team is going to be wearing the mask that I'm currently wearing just because it has a lot more breathability in it, I think. So, it's really preference right now. We've not been told we have to wear Under Armour like our contract says. We wear Under Armour uniforms, and our coaches wear Under Armour gear when they're on the sideline. But masks have not been dictated by anybody at this point. And I hope it doesn't. I really think the county will allow us to have our individual preferences met on this.
Well, that's kind of the ideal as another kill. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's technically an ace, right? And they didn't return it.
They didn't
right?
return
so that's an
it.
ace.
That's an ace. Yep.
So that will increase Haley Pierce's standing right now. She's 10th in the conference in aces, and it is 15-10. The Spartans are leading right now. And when you were talking a little bit about how athletics it affects the mental health, particularly of young student athletes, when you were talking a little bit about how athletics it affects the mental is that as we've talked with student athletes who are seniors last year, my daughter was a senior last year, lost her spring semester, didn't get her senior night. And in addition to that, every baseball players that didn't get their senior night. And, of course, the craziness that is the NCAA right now. What are you guys doing to try and get information to kids and keep the rumor mill from having people go a little more overboard than they probably should?
We keep preaching the 3 W's: wait, wash, and wear. Wear your mask. Wait 6 feet apart. Wash your hands thoroughly. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We didn't know that on March, 17th, we weren't coming back to school anymore. We thought this was going to be a short-lived thing, and we would all be back in school. We would be playing baseball. Our baseball team was, I think, 5-0 when they canceled the baseball season, had just swept Piedmont, which is, I think, the first time that's happened in school history. So we don't know what tomorrow holds, so we're going to compete as hard as we can each and every day in the classroom and on the sports fields.
All right, sir, that is Dr. Michael Harvey here at Sun Valley. You got any final thoughts before we let you go?
Jay, I just really appreciate you guys being here. It is great to see you come back. You're always welcome here. We got a couple big matchups coming out this way. We've got Weddington at home and Marvin at home. Those will be electric matches. So if you get a chance and your schedule allows you to, you're always welcome here at Sun Valley. But thanks for being here.
All right, sir, thank you. Appreciate you guys having us and letting us be here. This is our first volleyball night, so we're kind of excited to see how we do here and what all can come of this.